Live in Anaheim. It's Puckett here with Chance, and we're about to bring you basically a qualification match that is going to seal your deal for the rest of the year. If you win right here, you're going to stage 2. You're playing for the $700,000 up for grabs, but also you're going to lock in a spot in pool play. And Chance, we already have 2 teams that we know are going into pools. Cloud9, they were able to get the job done. Who else is joining them?
Red Reserve as well. And again, both those teams easily look the most dominant by far. Red Reserve probably even more so. Win 6-0 on the day. I think their closest match was like a 6-0 or something in an uplink. So, I mean, they've looked phenomenal. Of course, though, those 2 spots remaining. Tainted Minds, I think that's a team that, well, no one outside of the APAC region probably gave much of an opportunity for them to do so well, but they pulled off the upset against Millennium earlier on today. And, of course, they fell short to C9, but this is it. They just have to beat Supreme, and they're in. And we got 2 APAC teams in, man.
Absolutely. And Tainted Minds, if you remember their first match against Millennium, that one went to a Game 5. They started off hot, then they kind of fell apart in Game 3 and 4. Eventually get the job done in Search and Destroy. So keep your eyes on this Australian squad. And talking with the other big Aussie team here, Mind Freak, they were saying, you know what, we don't expect a whole lot out of them unless they get fired up. And if they do, they have some power players that can do damage. Speaking of all 4 of them, my favorite to watch on this squad is going to be Excite from Mind Freak formerly, but also Damage, who's been a veteran, a guy we've seen at COD Champs time and time again, going all the way back to Ghost.
Yeah, and of course the big story for Excite is he actually gets dropped from Mind Freak. Mind Freak, who had already qualified for the next season of the GPL, and they just get rid of him. So he wants to do everything he can to get back. And, well, that's about as good of a start as you could really ask for in the first hard point. Well, more importantly, if he had picked up the second kill. But either way, you know he's got a lot to fight for.
Swifty on your screen. A guy I haven't had a chance to watch too much. He hasn't been into pool play, really. Tainted Minds bombing out of the tournaments in the later rounds of the open bracket. This could be a massive opportunity for them here, but they're going up against some big names from North America. Tell me a little bit about this Supreme team as we're in the early moments of Hardpoint.
Well, we're on board with Spacely, and he's definitely the veteran of the squad. He's been playing at a pretty high level professionally for the longest time, but so far in IW, it just has not been his game. He's been kind of hanging around, I think, top 28 placings in Atlanta and Dallas, so he's obviously trying to get a better team to improve. Lacefield, formerly on C9, obviously a GPL caliber player, but he gets dropped as well. So another player that's going to be fighting for a lot. Lamagad, he's phenomenal as well. Him and Mox have been the absolute duo. Those are like the talented 2 on this team. When they are working well together, they can play phenomenal, absolutely lights out. And of course, Lama's trying to continue that. He's 3-1, make it 4-1. Looks like Excite's going to be able to trade a kill, and Excite's going to be able to pick up the second. So Aussie's trying to show up.
Impressive kills there from Excite. Gets the player down low, then looks up in the air to find the double kill. Lacefield, though, is going to keep the hill control, but for how long? You're going to see Lamagad coming in to reinforce, and here come the green arrows. They're running in 1 by 1. Llama's going to find Excite first. Swifty's there to trade out 2, and now Spacely's about to find 3 on the flank.
Yeah, and this is kind of the expectation for Supreme as well as Spacely. He's going to be able to find 3, and keep in mind, he is now just 150 away from the Scorchers. I have no idea why he doesn't have Trinity Rockets on board, but hey, he might be able to get there. Honestly, he could just go and grab the next hill in 10 seconds. That might be the play as well, but Spacely looking good. And if you got a player like Spacely that's cooking as well, Supreme is going to be phenomenal in response.
And it is something interesting to point out there, the lack of that 3rd score streak. That's obviously an error. You're going to want to give yourself at least something there to earn. Scorchers 50 points away. That is going to lock it in for him, and he is only 250 away from bringing out the big boy.
Yeah, of course, generally speaking, the Warden's more just for show. It just takes a simple class change. You get on the right perk, and then that Warden can't do anything to you. Of course, there's no telling whether the players even have a class like that available. They certainly should, but who knows? And there, of course, you see the Scorchers getting called in, but it doesn't matter. The remaining players on Supreme are going to be able to do all of that work, and they're going to get that clean 3 down.
So far in this game, North America is simply outslaying the Australians, and to me, that's honestly a bit shocking. If you look back to the first matchup for Tainted Minds against Cloud9, or I guess their second match of the day, Tainted Minds, they blew out Cloud9 in their opening hard point. It was 252, I think 123, if I'm remembering correctly. So the Supreme team showing that they are no slouches. They can slay, and they have silenced the Australians so far.
Well, definitely inconsistent. Tainted Minds, though, was in the respawns. They did win that first one, but then the next game against C9, I think it was Exotic, started off like 0-13, and they still managed to win that game. So it's one of those things that if Tainted Minds, they don't show up at all, it can get pretty bad. And so far, that seems to be the case here. It's 85-22, and it doesn't even look like Damage was shooting back.
We're honestly just going to stay on board with Lamagod and Lacefield right now. I mean, Spacely's even 10-6, but it was kind of all done at the barn. Lacefield is 15-5, and this is a guy that Aches decided didn't have what it takes to stay on Cloud 9. He was kind of their star player if you look back to their Vegas performance, and he was a guy that had a lot of hype coming into this year as one of those young guns, one of those guys that showed his potential on H2K last year and could have a breakout year. He had a great opening event, but he hasn't been consistent. This is looking like a pretty good home for him, and I know this is a little bit lower competition than what he's used to, but a fantastic start here in opening game 1.
Yeah, and frankly, I think the main problem with Supreme is just earlier in their first match, they just started off slow against Fnatic. Fnatic has not been a very good hardpoint team, but when Fnatic wins that first one, they're great in search, and Supreme forced the map number 5. They turned around the respawns later on, but they fell short in map number 5. So if they just win that first hardpoint, don't start out slow, they would have been fine. They are not starting out slow here. Map number 1, this is 120 nearly to 33. They are just cruising right along.
Excite just picked up 3 straight kills. Lamagod is going to be picked from the window. Let's go to Excite. He's on a 4 streak now, and he was just, I think it was 7-12 a few moments ago. -5, now +1. Keep your eyes on the former Mind Freak player as this goes on. Damage also starting to put together some kills, but Nimble has been silent. -10 at this point. You're in the second half of the game. He needs to turn up if they want any chance of getting back in here on our first throwback game.
Yeah, and again, that just kind of shines a light on the inconsistencies of the Tainted Minds roster. But again, a lot of Call of Duty left to be played. You see they have the spawns for this Barn Hill. Excite's in the back. It's going to actually spot 3 players over top, but 2 of them are going to be able to pick up kills, and Lacefield's going to pick up 2 to give that wipe. Nimble's the last player alive for Tainted Minds, so they had the early hold, and they got basically 0 time with it. That is an instant break coming out from Supreme.
Barn is where most of the damage was done on the first rotation. Lacefield is inside. His teammates working on streaks outside. It's Mox on a 2 streak. Llama on a 2. Spacely has found his 3rd kill. And here comes the push. Injured players from Tainted Mind not shying away from the gunfights. Now their health is back, though. This is where they're going to get dangerous. They're all grouped up in the back, and Swifty has picked up 2. Here's the opening fight. Nimble finally gets his 7th kill and 8th kill. Big ones as they take over with 15 points to score.
Yeah, again, if you start out slow, you're going to have to make up for it with some of those clutch kills. He's going to be able to do that just there. Looks like there's actually going to be a player flanking Excite just for those final seconds. That was Mox, actually. Is able to pick it up, but again, that's only a few extra seconds on board. It's all about those rotations.
Ooh.
Swifty's going to get shut down by Lacefield, but Excite is actually going to be there. But it looks like kill's still going to be traded. It's going to be back and forth on this bridge.
Excited slowed down a little bit. His KD back into the negative, trying to turn that around here, back to even after those, and he is going to be ever closer to that camo, about 2 kills away. On the opposite side, Spacely, he's very close to his payload. Will have it able to pop out in this next fight. Lacefield working on his. So payload's going to come into play at the second half of this game, but overall on this scoreboard, it's a one-sided affair. And I mean, if you just play this out for another 4 minutes without a second doubt, you would just say this is going Supreme's way.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's one of those things where so far in IW we've seen, and I know JP has been hard at work to give us these stats, that the team that outslays in hardpoint wins the vast majority of the time, more so than I think in any other Call of Duty that we've seen. Sometimes it can get ridiculous. On Retaliation, it was like nearly 100% of the time. On Throwback, I think it was in like the high 70s, low 80s. And again, when you're outslaying by as much as Supreme are, it's not even close. Lacefield is +14. The only player negative on the team is Lauman. He's only -1, and he's still getting in a ton of gunfights, and that's going to be expected. So, again, all Supreme is perfectly right.
Damage has really fallen off. Nimble, he's picked up 4 kills since we really last checked in on him. Excite and Swifty trying to keep the Australians in this game. Supreme needing just 50 points. The baseball field, though, is where you can definitely turn it around. Damage from the back, staying alive with the NV4. He's getting support, but it's not enough. Nimble's going to pick up 2, but here comes Mox on the flank. Finds 2, challenging the 3rd. Out comes the camo. We'll see you later, buddy. Great retake there from Supreme.
And I know he had the camo to help, but that's just kind of the difference that we just saw from Damage and Mox. Damage is in the back. He's doing the right thing, but there is, 3 or 4 gunfights that he couldn't quite finish. And Mox on the other side, well, he's going to be able to finish 3 back-to-back-to-back and go on a 4 streak as well. So, again, it's not a star-studded roster, but there is a lot of talent on the Supreme squad.
I mean, they're slaying like crazy here. You got Lacefield double positive. Mox is looking at +10. Spacely +8 at this point. Mox continuing to add to those tallies. He's got 2 score streaks to work with. Also have that Warden about 225 away. Here come the missiles. The Trinity not going to do any work. Doesn't matter, though. They have full control, and they're just 15 points away from taking our first game.
That's kind of like the story of the game for me. He calls in streaks, and his teammates get too many kills that he can't even get kills that way.
They're not even on the map.
It's just been a huge problem right now for Tainted Minds. They're, poised to get a 100-point club. They're trying to at least get past that margin, but even if they do so, I think it's safe to say they're not going to make that 150-point deficit comeback.
Look at this. 26 kills from Llama. Lacefield's looking for his 30 bomb. 26 from Mox and Spacely. Everyone contributing here as we are down to the barn. 5 seconds needed, and that should do it. If Mox can defend himself here, actually, it looks like Tainted Minds is going to hold for at least one more push. You got Llama God waiting. Here come those 4 blue arrows. They're at the top of the mini-map. They're all coming in. Scarab's going to spot them, but by the time he sees them, the gunfight should be going down.
Yeah, all players actually able to push in the back, but still no kills just yet, so the pressure is at least going to be understood. Lacefield, though, is going to have shots, and at least 3 different players able to pick up 1 kill. Mox is trying to work in tandem, but they're still struggling to get inside. Tainted Mind's doing a decent job of holding on. Lacefield, though, inside the hill. These are the important gunfights. He gets one. Spacely's going to get the other. And Tainted Minds, well, they made it slightly interesting towards the end, but against Supreme, just that entire game, that slaying power was way too much to handle.
It was, 124 to 43 points after the first rotation. Everyone putting in work here from our Supreme team, and they did fall short to Fnatic. They choked that Game 5 on Crusher. They gave themselves an opportunity in the series, and then you let Sunny B kind of shut you down. So Supreme didn't hope to be in this position, didn't expect to be in this position, but when matching up against Australia's second best team, you have to give the North Americans an edge, especially in a respawn like Throwback.
Yeah, of course, though, as you said, that's just the respawn. The search and destroy is a lot more up in the air. Again, it's one of those things where the North Americans don't even scrim search and destroy all too much. It's a very heavy focus on the respawn because you're trying to avoid giving away strats. And, of course, you're getting the region matchup as well. That's going to be going down. So a lot of things at play. Of course, though, Tainted Minds, perfect map to try and bounce back on.
Shout out to Chance. He's also our observer while casting. We haven't had to do this for a while, but it's good to get back into it. And we're going into Search and Destroy here on the map that Supreme lost to Fnatic. So if you're Tainted Minds, here's your opportunity. Come into Crusher, do exactly what Fnatic did, score early, get that big lead, and then use the payloads to close out your search.
Yeah, and again, to say must win is an understatement. It's incredible how much is on the line. Again, we're going to keep touting it, but spot at champs as well. That's the part that I didn't know. You get that guaranteed if you win this match and qualify. Access to, I think me and Merc figured out a $2.2 million prize pool in total from Stage 2, from champs, even just pool play at Anaheim, which puts you in such a good position for the rest of the weekend. Because again, you're fighting throw open bracket. That's a hike, especially after playing on Thursday. You do not want to fall short here.
Life-changing money up for grabs as we close out 2017. We are live in Anaheim. If you're just joining us, this is the conclusion to the relegation tournament. Back at Stage 1, the bottom 4 teams, they dropped. The top teams from online across 3 different regions all coming in today to fight out for the final 4 spots. We know Cloud9 is going through. We know Red Reserve is going through, but here's a look at the teams still alive in the losers bracket. Millennium, they're out. Era, we'll see you later. Supremacy and Fnatic, that match is coming up next. And you see at the bottom half of the bracket there, it's Supreme versus Tainted Minds for the third spot going into pool play.
And that's interesting as well, because Supremacy, of course, is the French team. So, yes, we talk about the EU, how they've been looking a lot better, but that's primarily a bunch of UK guys. So it'd be nice to get more languages in the mix, if you will. And then, of course, APAC trying to get a second spot. A lot of potential, but again, it's going to be a tough road. I think the expectation of Supreme was that if there was going to be upset potential, they were going to be the guys to pull it off. Yes, they fell short to Fnatic earlier, but again, that's a series where if they just played a little bit better on map number 1, they could have very easily taken it. Of course, though, a long way to go. They still got 2 more maps to win. And Tainted Minds, not too shabby in search.
So when you look at these 4 remaining teams, if you could rank them 1 to 4, I had Fnatic at the top of the list. Where did you have Supreme? Where do you have a squad like Tainted Minds?
Well, okay, if you asked me yesterday, I would have put Tainted Minds at the bottom. But after their performance against Millennium, definitely proved that they can at least contend against these relegation teams. Again, there's still a lot to be desired. They still have a lot that they can prove, but they're definitely proved that they are a very solid squad. Still, though, I would put Supreme above them. Yes, they fell short, but I think their respawn is just too good. I think the combination of Mox and Lamagod is phenomenal. And then you even saw last game, Lacefield completely went off, and he has been known to do that in the past where he can just have those superstar performances. And even in the search, Lacefield is definitely going to be the player to watch over for the side of Supreme.
All right, you see on the mini-map, it is going to be a long flank coming at Damage. He's in position to scout this out. Now does he make the play? He will. The kills are going to continue to go down, though. Swifty is next into action. As you see, it is a 3-on-3. Lacefield and Damage on the sideline. Bomb has not been planted. The retreat going down from Supreme, but they're able to trade out kills. It's all of a sudden just Excite left in a 1v2.
Yeah, the trade's coming in very, very effectively right there from Supreme, and now he's actually going to be completely pinched in. He's going to be able to come up behind a player on crates, but he's not able to finish the kill right away. That's going to buy the remaining players Spacely some time, but now you just kind of have this awkward engagement by crates. Who's going to peek? Who's going to get those shots? The entire gunfight's going to come down, and Spacely with the aggression is going to hit him from the side, and that is a very nice round win coming out from Supreme.
And, you know, props to Excite. You win the first gunfight. You give yourself an opportunity, but it was those early shots. When Excite goes to throw the grenade, Spacely tags him up, so when the next engagement happens, Spacely has the health advantage, closes out the 1v1. So the defense holding strong here to start things off on Search and Destroy. Let's go over to the attacking squad. It's going to be Lamagod on your screen with the bomb. And as you can see on that minimap top left, 3 players going to be looping around on the flank. It's Damage sent alone to B to scout things out.
Well, this is a very similar round, actually, from what we previously saw, where the defensive team sends 3 players on the flank. This time, though, Spacely spots it out very, very early. The gunfights didn't go down in that back corner of the map. He spots that out and immediately goes and gets out of dodge, and this is the correct thing. Supreme is pushing out the bomb site. Damage, who is by himself, only has 1 player that wrapped back to help him. So this is going to be a 4-on-2. If Supreme plays it fast enough, Spacely able to get that first blood, and they have not slowed down. They are continuing to push through, and that is exactly the play they needed to make.
Spacely's going to be leading this charge over to A. Only 1 player has rotated over in time. You see Excite there, that little green outline moving around inside. Meanwhile, Lacefield's going to find players on the flank, and it looks like it's only Excite left alive. We switch to him as he falls. Nice round there, and it all starts with Spacely picking up that first blood.
And I really love that play as well. Again, just the decision to make sure you push through the bomb site as soon as you spot out the flank. Something a lot of teams don't do. A lot of teams just kind of sit still, panic. They don't make a decision, get hesitant, and they get punished for it. But again, instant reaction. They flooded through, and I think it was Damage. That was what? In a 1v4, essentially. Yep. And outside of making an absurdly good play, there's really just nothing he can do. So again, smart decision-making from Supreme. Although this time back on the offensive end, I'm pretty sure that player did he get sniped?
Yeah, no, Mox tagged him up at the cave, and before, excuse me. Meanwhile, trying to get the Lacefield in time, I can't. He's going to fall at the hands of Excite. Lamagod trying to rotate over. They're down a man here in the 3v4. The opponents need to plant the bomb first. And you see Lamagod is going to be working with Spacely. Spacely looking for the first blood. He spotted Damage. Here's the execution. Great kill. Ties it up. Bomb falls. And now you're going to see Lamagod Spacely duo all up against Excite. 3-on-1 here. How is this happening for Tainted Minds? How are they dropping so quickly?
Well, that bomb's going to get defused as well. Excite is going to fall, but That was a situation where it seemed like they were doing the right thing. They pushed out to rock, but they did it a little bit too slowly. Once those players come on the flank and shoot you in the back, now you're worried about two different directions. You're worried about the player that was originally watching the flank, and you're worried about the players behind you. So again, when you make that decision to push through, you have to do it aggressively. There is not time to waste. And of course, props to Supreme. They just won the gunfights over by the bomb side as well, but 3v4, you cannot be giving that away.
Let's go over to Lamagod, 5-1. Pretty impressive stuff. Spacely, yet to die, sitting at 4-0. We'll be working on streaks here. And as we take a look here at the map, if you plant the bomb here on Crusher, you're only expected to win 56% of the time. This is the map that has the biggest defender's advantage. And we'll see if that'll come into play here for Tainted Minds. 3 players stacked up. Lamagod waiting to turn the corner. Excite slides in first. They don't expect Lamagod to be in the sky, but the kills are traded out in favor of TM. Last man up is going to fall, and it is going to be Tainted Minds winning on the defensive end. They're still down 2 rounds, but they could quickly make this a game if they're able to win on the next attack.
And part of the reason as well, and that's something I'm sure we'll have to touch on quite a few times this week, that the defensive side is only slightly favored. It's because the bomb was getting planted every single round. Because it built towards those payloads, you give it to the active camo guy, reactive, and you have to plant every round because you're trying to earn those payloads. Obviously, the most recent patch took that factor out. So the search and destroy strats are going to be relatively similar, though we're probably going to see quite a few less plants, teams trying to favor getting those picks first. So again, keep that in the back of your mind as this plays out. Meanwhile, though, Lacefield with that nade is able to pick up first blood.
Nimble on your screen, has bomb in hand, and 3 opponents charging him. Spacely's going to pick up the kills, and what a wipe there from Supreme. They pick up 3 all in about 5 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, if you watch them play the respawns, obviously their gun skill is a factor. Their slaying power is pretty ridiculous, or at least in this comparison matchup. So, hey, you get the first blood, stick together, fly through, trust yourself to win the gunfights, and things will go your way. Supreme playing with confidence, and they're up 4-1.
And Mox picks up his 2nd and 3rd kill there in the final kill cam. Very nice job to turn to the right after picking up the first kill on his left. We're going over to Lamagod once again. Bomb carrier with FTL jump. He's just going to let Spacely charge out and spot for defenders. They have no idea, but the A bomb site is wide open. They could plant at any moment. Meanwhile, let's go over to Mox. He's about to have his hands full. 4 flankers all rotating together. Tainted Minds is pushing around the perimeter of the map.
And again, this comes down to the payload thing. Generally speaking, at least in the past, if you know a bomb site's open, you don't waste any time, you get it down. But now we're seeing more intensive search and destroy play where teams are just out rotating each other. Supreme allowed to take that advantage. So I guarantee Tainted Minds was expecting that bomb to get planted today as soon as they cleared out B. But now they're going to be on the slight back foot. Of course, Mox by himself. He only has that pistol. Damage is going to team kill. It looks like Nimble is going to be able to trade it out. So it is going to be a 3v3, but Mox is in prime position to come on the flanks. Got 2 in front of him.
Tap that sucker, and he is going to be able to pick up 1.5. Lamagod should get credit for the other 2. We'll see the round-ending kill cam. This was so weird because they clear out A. They all run around, and then by the time Tainted Minds gets to the A bomb site, all 4 members of Supreme are set up over at B. Things are going totally in favor of the North Americans. Is this game over, Chance? How do you bring it back if you're TM?
I think the series is over. I think this is just too much dominance. Even if Tainted Minds is able to bounce back in map 3 and win the uplink, do you really see the hard point going any differently? Like, Supreme has the hot hand. Their gun skill has been on point. And the only time we've seen a slow performance out of any of them, it was just kind of one player lagging behind. But now everyone has turned up so far for Supreme. Looking good, of course, though. They still have to close it out. You see that Scarab is going to be scouting out information. This goes back to the standard B site. They know where each other is going to be. It just comes down to the gunfights, and it looks like Spacely, well, he's going to fall, but Lacefield there for the trade.
And there you see Mox overlooking the next trade. Lamagod is going to be the last one up. It's a 1v2. FTL jump is used. Lamagod will fall, though. And it's Tainted Minds using the payload and clutching up in round number 7. Here's a look at it one more time. It's damage picking off Lamagod, who simply could not escape from the 3 Australians that all started with Excite picking Spacely first. From there, all you have to do is win your trades.
Yeah, and again, really good job of like diverting the attention as well. The FTL jump goes across the rock, forces Llama God to have to worry about two different lines of sight, a player on his left, a player on his right. It's pretty much impossible to pick up those 2 kills without side of a choke. Swifty, though, he's the guy I'm looking at right now. He is 0-6. Tainted has 2 rounds on the board, but he's going to have to turn his game around. Meanwhile, Nimble's playing aggressive. However, you see Swifty is going to be there for the trade, and he's going to be able to get 2, make it 3. He started off 0-6, but he turned it around. Still, though, 1v2, Mox is a guy that could definitely clutch up. So Tainted Minds, they can't take a second to breathe. And you see he's switching weapons, able to get out with his life just barely. Mox trying to go for this clutch, knows the player's by crates, feels the pressure, and is just going to back off. But oh dear God, if Mox clutches, that would be insane. Gets 1, gets the camera, goes for the second, and shuts that player down.
Not like this, Chance.
Please.
You get a triple kill out of Swifty. It's a 1v2. And Mox is going to earn his camo and pop it in round 8 to seal the deal. What a ridiculous finish right there. Very impressive stuff out of Mox, but you have to think that's another game where Tainted Minds, you got the opportunity, you just threw it away.
That was a big dad play coming out right there from Mox. That was pretty insane. The confidence when you have camo, you have a guaranteed at least another, 4 rounds to play, and you're just like, I'm just going to end it here. I'm just going to clutch up the 1v2. It's no big deal. I like the confidence, man. That is fun to see, but yeah, I mean, that's got to be soul-crushing for Tainted Minds. They have to reverse sweep now. That is the only option, and that's tough.
How was Mox playing earlier in the day? Because this is a guy that's been talked about for a long time. He's someone that's always grinding on game battles as well, and he really hasn't had his chance to shine on the main stage. Here, he's had a pretty solid game 1, and the whole team was very consistent throughout that hard point. Now in Search and Destroy, he's able to seal the deal.
The only times I've seen Mox play even a little bit slow today, and I mean slow in terms of kill death, in terms of stats, that sort of thing, is when his teammates are going off. Other than that, he's always been on point, especially in the respawns. Yes, the play in Search and Destroy was cool, but for me, Lacefield has kind of been that guy in Search, and it's been Llama and Mox, that duo in the respawns. But hey, I mean, they can do it all. Obviously, they're a good team.
Shout out to Llama God as well. He had 9 kills going into that final round, but after 2 games, it's all Supreme. Game 3, we'll find out, can Supreme close the door here on the Australians? Don't go anywhere. Uplink is coming up next. We are back live from Anaheim. It's looking dark, but it's going to be great here, Chance. We have a fantastic match on our hands. It's Supreme going up against Tainted Minds, and fantastic, well, that is a huge hyperbole. It's been a one-sided affair, 6-2 in the search and destroy after blowing out the Australian.
Yeah, and again, it's even a situation where I think this is a comfort map. At worst case, you lose and you go and play another hard point, and I think they've just been way too good. I definitely think the search and destroy is a must-win for Tainted Minds. And even that, what was it, 6-2? Convincing win. Big plays coming out of Mox as well. I think Llama God had 9 kills, so everything going right now for Supreme. If you're a Supreme fan, yeah, fantastic series so far. Not so much if you're chilling at, what is it, like 11 o'clock in the morning for the APAC region, something like that. That is tough to wake up to.
Yeah, and I tweeted, Aussie, Aussie, oi, oi. I don't feel like it's ready for the Aussie, 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 oi, oi, oi. But they need 3 ois. If they want back in the series, Chance, they are down 2. And I saw on Twitter a lot of people were saying it looks like more than 1 Aussie is missing from your tweet and in this series. They haven't shown up. You've had good streaks out of Excite. You've had okay plays. You saw Swifty picking up that nice 3-piece in Search and Destroy, but no one's been consistent. Damage, he's been up and down. If you're going to win this Uplink, Frost, you have to out-ERAD Supreme, and they have shown superior firepower.
It's definitely a situation where if you had asked me yesterday, I would have said there's hope. Because the problem for, I think, Lacefield on C9 is his search and destroy has always been good, but I think his respawn game was lacking. Yes, that was C9 as a whole, but he was part of it. And now, though, he has been playing phenomenally so far today. And we already know Llama has been on point. He hasn't slowed down at all. And then Spacely's a very solid player as well. So I think when you have Mox on that back line, he's going to be that solo AR. That's one of the best guys you could have, honestly. I definitely think he could contend for being towards the top of those ARs. He's definitely similar to the Octane, similar to the Formal, where he plays slow, but he's a laser beam. I literally thought he had a sniper when he had an NV4 over on Crusher. The guy doesn't miss very often.
I was looking back. I was like, who did they crush earlier? Oh, yeah, it was Era in the Uplink. Mox and Llama God, 33 kills for Mox. Llama God, 30 kills. The boys can show up in a big way. You've already seen big plays out of them in the hard point. Here is your second respawn in the best of 5. Supreme trying to close the door on Tainted Minds. And we will see if they can do it here on Frost. I'm going to go through all of the players real quick, Chance, and see what they're running. We have 2 K-bars, 2 ERADs out for Tainted Minds. And it's looking like the same on the other side. 2 and 2, and in fact, Llama God's going to switch to the ERAD right before this goes. So you're going to have the up-close advantage in favor of Supreme, but Tainted Minds could do damage with that double AR.
Well, we're going to have to see how this plays out. Tainted Minds for that opening strat. They grab the drone, throw it forward, and they're going to get some points on the board instantly. That was a 18-second score for Tainted Minds, and frankly, that's like best-case scenario. That's just got to be huge for momentum as well. That is, honestly, well, that is the best start they could possibly have.
Pretty nice start. 12 seconds. You're already in their base. You're scoring in 15. I'll take it. They stop the push coming in now from Supreme. Drone is going to be picked up. Excite's the lead blocker. Right behind him, though, is Lacefield. And Lacefield's going to pick up both kills and the drone. And he's still threatening. Remember, he could always wall run right here.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to be wrapping back. You see his teammates are putting a little bit of pressure over towards that sub area. It's actually going to be Spacely leading that charge. Still, though, Tainted Minds turtled up under their portal. They got to win the gunfights, but Nimble's going to be the only one, and he's going to get traded out, and that is going to be a clean 4 down. It took about 30 seconds, but you see Supreme able to get a nice response on board to tie this up at 2-2.
1 minute tie game, and here comes another rally potentially. The grenade is going to stop Lacefield short. And that, of course, coming in from his teammate Llama God. So Spacely knows I have to wait until we have the man advantage. At the top of the mini-map, it was Llama God falling, so now it's a 3-on-2. Drone is going to fall to the middle of the map. Good stop by Excite. Tainted Minds now taking over map control.
Yeah, and of course, this is a situation where you got to get those 2 sets of kills. Right now, it's going to be Lacefield. I think they're trying to chase down. You see Nimbles actually going to just give up on that for a second. But they're going to have the drone. They are going to try and push it up through sub. Spacely, though, is having none of it. He's able to pick up 2. He's going to get traded out, but that's essentially a stop push, at least for the moment.
Let's go back over to Mox. He is going to pick up the drone and toss it away. They're looking for the kills first. Drone on the ground, though. It's still in striking distance, and another big defensive stand. Nimble trying to get into the action, but it's Spacely somehow staying alive in the sub. Finally, he's down. We're just going to hang out for a minute until Spacely comes off spawn. The man is 9-4. He has the hottest hand in this lobby.
Yeah, shown up with the ERAD. Again, it's a situation that Spacely's been a sub player for the longest time, at least the past like 3 years, give or take. Still, though, going to try and continue the dominance, going to lose that gunfight, but he does get traded out. You see Lamagod and Lacefield, the L-related duo, able to pick up. They know for the moment, Tainted Minds is going to be hopeless to score as well. So it's all about those kills.
Mox, last man up in the middle of the map. His teammates now coming off spawn, but the drone is pushing forward. Let's go over to Nibblehill. Actually, we'll see. How does defense set up here? As it's Mox pushing in with Llama, drone is going to be on the ground for the moment. Excite battling for control. That three-piece is going to keep him up. Lacefield going to finally shut Excite down. It looked like for a moment we were going to see a dunk coming in from Tainted Minds.
Yeah, this is an incredibly back-and-forth game, not just in the scores where they got countered on, but still, even in the kill feed, the vast majority of the time, it's literally just kill trade, kill trade, kill trade, kill trade. I think the only times you really see two get picked up, it is going to be in the hands of Supreme that are pulling it off. Still, though, they're not in the best of spots to get it on the drone yet. You see Excite's able to pick up two to relieve the pressure. And again, Spacely's by himself. So very back and forth, and Swifty coming up big.
All right, who do you want to watch here from Tainted Minds? We got Swifty on the 2 streak. No one positive on the team. They've been outgunned. The team shot, though, seems to be paying off here. Drone in the hands of Damage. Swifty, the lead blocker. 2 players coming up, and the drone is passed. I love this decision. I thought he was going to get the kills. Instead, they focus on the objective, and there's just a minute and 10 still to go here in our first half. It looks like they've regained their ground on the map as well. Perfect execution in that moment.
And that's 2 kind of scores right there from Tainted Minds where they just kind of run away from Supreme. They didn't have to win all the gunfights to do so. They just take the drone, go straight through them and say, hey, the only thing that matters is the points we get, not the kills. And again, the decision you pointed out, leave those 2 players alive and just go for the score as quickly as possible. So sneaky stuff really coming out of Tainted Minds, looking pretty good so far.
Lacefield was the last man up. He's brought the drone inside, forcing everyone from Tainted Minds to put their attention there. Now it's going to be a battle back and forth in the sub bay. Drone still on the ground. Lamagod alive, and his opponent, he is running circles down low. FTL jump still available. Lamagod's going to be looking for players coming off the spawn, but it's going to be Spacely with drone in hand, getting the job done himself. Lacefield also in the feed, and that drone is passed up. The grenade's going to push it in front of Llama, and the 1-point toss is going to miss. A costly mistake that could come back and bite them later in the day. With 8 seconds still to go, this one should finish 4-2, unless it's a 1-point play. Here comes the drone. It's tossed up to Excite. The Jammer's not going to allow it to happen.
And the Jammers are the perfect call right there. Make sure to slow the pace. Where he got into the base of his opponent, he forces their spawn over and towards the bay, and he does nothing with it. He kind of sits around, doesn't pick up any kills. Then finally, the team is able to get the drone to him, but then he's got 2 players shooting in the back, and more importantly, he misses the 1-point shot. So that's just too long of a period where you don't really accomplish anything for the team. Obviously, he's playing fantastic. He's 18 and 14, but still, when you have an opportunity to score, you cannot make any mistakes.
I do want to point out that Spacely, he's kind of been shut down in the second part of that first half. Lamagod continues to impress, hits his 20-kill mark. Now it's Lacefield working behind Mox, as it's going to be Supreme on the attack. 2 defenders in position, a 3rd rotating over. Lamagod's going to clear the way, though. Swifty and Excite down. Just 1 defender left. It's Damage, and he is not going to be able to stop the dunk. It goes through. We're all tied up at 4-4.
And Lamagod just killed their entire team along the way to make that happen. Yes, he baited out 2 of his teammates, but even towards the end, he picked up 2 pretty massive kills to guarantee that score. And more importantly, when you kill the entire team, you can keep that pressure on, and that is exactly what Supreme is going to be doing. Spacely, with that drone in hand, going to be working through this sub-bay. Of course, he's got some blockers as well. Excite, though, going to be able to stop it just for a second. This might be a situation where he's just going to go for the desperation score, and he's going to get it as well. Just slides straight past Nimble and hits that 1-point shot.
Lamagod has not used his FTL jump yet here in Game 3. No need for it so far. Shots in the back. He's going to throw the drone closer to his teammates and then comes right back out. Mox is going to get credit for both of those kills, but it's a team effort here. Your blue squad, Supreme, running together and outgunning Tainted Minds. Lacefield doing the damage now, finds 3. No one left in the sub bay. Only 1 defender in position. It's Damage who runs into all 4 players, but the interception is going to keep this one 5-4, at least for a moment. The drone is reset. 3:15 to go, and it seems like a blowout in the kill feed However, this is still a very close game. In fact, it's still winnable if you're Tainted Minds.
Yeah, definitely still doable. Plenty of time as well. Of course, they just have to get something going on the offensive side. They've been struggling really just to even get out of the base. You see even now, Lacefield, he's pushed all the way up past players. He's calling in scarabs and getting kills, and it's just free reign. Everyone Supreme, when they spawn up, they have, 50 feet of clearance before they even have to worry about getting into a gunfight. They are in complete control.
On board with the great Swift Azor. As they are rotating outside, they know they're losing the indoor battle into sub bay. The SMG is just too powerful from Supreme. Spacely, he's going to get the first pick. Now Mox, now Llama, everyone crashing in at once. Excite versus 4, not going to happen. Spacely's moving the drone up. He has 2 lead blockers. Look for all Llama God and Mox here in the kill feed. And as I say it, it's actually Nimble who steps up with the 2-piece and now has drone.
And again, making those huge defensive stands is obviously fantastic, but you got to find a way to get out of your base. You got to find a way to create these scoring opportunities. Right now, it's going to be Excite. He's the farthest pushed up from the team, but they're not doing anything with the drone. And you see Lacefield in duo, I think that was with Spacely that he rolled with, they just cut through the middle of the map and completely shut that push down. So they're not watching the flanks. They're taking too much time and just allowing Supreme to kind of do whatever they want with their strats. And obviously Supreme, for the moment, is punishing them for it.
Keep your eyes on player number 3 on the minimap. Mox already getting behind Nimble. Now is going to distract, causing 2 more engagements. He finds a kill, trades that out. It's damage on the defensive end. So a bit of a stall here inside the sub bay. Players are dropping now as Tainted Minds picking up kills. That's 3 down, drone in hands of damage. He's got the overdrive as well here, Chance.
Has the overdrive, has 2 teammates with him. They got to pick up some kills. Mox is going to get that first blood, and he pushed up too far. Nimble, though, was able to pick up 2, but now Nimble's by himself. The guy with the overdrive was sitting at the front line without even using his payload, and that could be costly. A minute left. It is still very feasible for Tainted Minds to be able to pull this off. But again, they got to pick up kills, and Llama God's going to be able to get 3. That was some missed shots right there from damage.
And Llama God is going to punish you every time if you give him the opportunity. Already over 30 kills. He leads every player in the lobby. +8 looking for more. Meanwhile, Mox is going to pop that camo and he's going to throw it in for 2. Couldn't get to him in time, but that was a nice dunk as you saw it play out on the minimap. Lacefield still causing problems inside the base, and with 40 seconds left, you need to play absolutely perfect here if you're Tainted Minds. Otherwise, this series is over. Nimble cut down. Swifty versus 3. It's Mox in the feed. Swifty's going to find 2, but that drone carrier is just running away. It's Spacely. Who knows? He's just got to milk the clock here.
And again, 20 seconds left. It is a 2-possession game. That drone is on the wrong side of the map. Tainted Minds, they need a miracle right here. They have to kill him, pick up the drone, get it to a point where they can score, and that's pretty much going to be your deciding factor. That is going to be your game as Spacely winds down the clock with his teammates picking up kills. But that's got to be one of the weirder games I've seen from like an individual team's perspectives. Didn't Spacely start out like 12-4?
Yeah, he was 9-4 at a point, so he was definitely going in. And then the next time we checked in on him, it was after halftime, and he was basically near even. So Spacely, he had his ups and downs in the game, but at the end of it all, you got the slaying that you needed. You had some nice plays on the attack. They seemed to just be better organized, a little more coordinated. And those lead blockers, Lacefield, Llama God, they did a great job of paving the way for the drone.
Yeah, that's the second part of like the weird Uplink story to me. It's one Spacely, hot start to just going ice cold, but like it worked out. Obviously, he's doing great drone work. But then Mox, he probably had about 15 less gunfights total than Llama God. Llama God had some hyper aggression there. I think most kills in the lobby by quite a bit, and I think most deaths as well. So he's playing at a different speed than some of his teammates. Obviously, right there, they won 7-4, but I think that'd definitely be a game worth rewatching for Supreme to see if there's any way they can improve. Because again, some monster performances from both Lacefield and Llama, and not that convincing of a win. And again, maybe just not quite on the same page with what speed they're playing at. But again, if you win, who really cares?
Right.
They got that 3-0 dub.
I will say, if you look at the big picture here, you got scored on twice. They were both dunks. How did it happen? You lost the first gunfight, and then it was just a quick 2-point play in the first 30 seconds from Tainted Minds. The second one, well, it was, again, you win the gunfights, there's 3 down, but the drone was tossed by Excite, and it was able to be put in for a second dunk. So you had 2 small mistakes throughout that. pretty solid defense across the board here. I think Supreme's the real deal. I think this is a squad that could definitely cause problems later here, Chance.
Yeah, again, that was the expectation of them coming into this tournament. They were one of the relegation squads that had to qualify through online, so they weren't in the GPL. So technically they were the underdogs, but they still had a lot of expectations. A lot of fans were looking at this team. And, of course, well, they made it. They've made it, pull it off. So congratulations to those guys. I know for, like, Mox especially, it's been a long time coming, so they got to be over the moon.
All right, we have 3 teams now moving on to pool play. It's Cloud9. They're going to be joined by Supreme here from North America, and Red Reserve has locked up their spot. But up next, we're going to find out who is going to be the second EU team coming through. Is it Supremacy from France, or is it the boys from the UK as Fnatic gets their second chance? Yay.